I'm Mint Salad and I saw Velma. It is directed by Charlie Grandy. And these are the last 2 episodes of this season. Oh my goodness. Wow, we've made it, guys. I know there's a renewal for season 2, but honestly, unless someone pays me to review the season 2 of Velma, I don't think I'm gonna do it. Wow, this show is such a slog to go through. If you haven't checked out my other reviews, you should definitely check them out because wow, there's so much to say about this show. Wow, I can't believe it. Season is done. If you haven't seen these 2 episodes though, I will definitely spoil it for you. If you don't want to watch the show, you don't have to go anywhere else. Also, I should mention that I have notes because there's so much to remember. Wow. Episode 9 is called Family Woe Man. And I say woe like that because woe is in parentheses. Interesting choice for that. I keep saying interesting during these reviews because I don't know the thought behind it. Do you know the thought behind it? Let me know if you do. The episode starts, we have Velma's mom is back into her life, so she's at the hospital, but you can't make her mad for 72 hours in order to help her remember who done did it, who's the serial killer actually. Weird time restraint, I don't know if amnesia works like that. Her amnesia is very weird and very convenient for the plot. It's like, oh, well, actually, I do remember who the killer is. I remember random flashbacks of me going into the underground. And it's like, why does this matter? Why do these flashbacks just randomly matter all of a sudden? What? You just going underground? That doesn't really serve much of a purpose unless your purpose is to illustrate the journey of going there, the journey of, encountering the serial killer that you only remember steps in. But the show did not really portray that very well. There's only a couple of flashbacks, and the flashbacks were not really connected to it was not like a consistent storyline that I could tell because wow, it's just so wacky not in a good way. Also, I mentioned she's not supposed to be mad, but there are certain things that occurred while she was gone, okay? First of all, she was thought to be the person who is the bad person, the person who has left the father, and so the father gets a new girlfriend and has a baby child, and the entire dilemma of the episode is to hide this child and the girlfriend from the mother who was thought to have left the father in like a really bad, terrible person way. But Velma is like, oh, she disappeared. Of course, the father has great instincts in thinking that the mother is a bad person because there's a twist that is so mind-boggling that I have to explain a little bit later on in the video. Oh, jeez, dude. Come on. Also, I should mention that Daphne and Velma are now a couple, which is fine. That's fine. It was gonna happen. That's totally okay. They kiss a couple of times. What's interesting though is that the pair of glasses that Velma wears is the same pair of glasses that the mother left behind. And so Velma's like, oh, here's that pair of glasses, okay? Check this out. Here, mother. And then mother is like, oh, I found a clue. And it's like, oh, God. Also, I'm reading my notes and I say ugh a lot in the notes. Also, those same glasses is a device to have a flashback that doesn't mean anything, but she's like, I'm remembering, ooh. It's like, I feel like you're taking me on a spin. You know what I actually feel like Velma's mom character is doing based on her behavior? I feel like she knows the entire time who's the serial killer, but we have just her, for no reason, stringing along everyone. Oh, I remember. Oh, I don't remember. Oh, I do remember. Even though it's showing us flashbacks, I just feel like she's stringing them along till the very end, where she reveals who is the serial killer, and you're not gonna like this. Dang. I got a spam call. Keeping spam calls. The next spam call I get, I'm gonna ask them about Velma. Also, from her mother, she gets a gift of the red shoes from, like, classic OG Velma. She's like, I want these. But more importantly, though, she starts to realize how bad of a person she is. But she's like, oh, I'm a bad person, so I'm gonna try to do the right thing, but still terrible. Like, fake, very, very fake character growth. Like, she's... one hand says, oh, I'm sorry, and then, like, does the bad thing yet again in, like, the next beat. And it's like, oh my goodness gracious, Velma. Also, Daphne's friends suck, of course, because why wouldn't they? They're popular, and they only care about being friends with popular people. But imagine being exiled from that popular group, which Daphne and Fred have been, actually, and now they're dealing with that, which I got interested. It was very quick, though. A lot of the story beats in this episode are just very quick. It feels like they're just trying to get all of their jokes in, because this is the 9th out of the 10th episode in this season. Also, because they're social outcasts, I really like Fred. I mean, I've liked Fred this entire time, but Fred has a great line. Okay, so Fred is sitting next to a bunch of bees, right? And Fred says, Daphne, shush, you'll upset the garbage bees. My only hope is to be accepted as their queen. And you know, I really like the delivery. It's very funny. Of course, Daphne ignores it, just like everyone ignores everyone in the show. Man, if you didn't have any basis for human interaction, you would think, oh, this is how people speak to each other, I guess, is to ignore the other person completely, just be interested in their own stuff. Also, more shenanigans, such as Mother is interested in why there's a random baby and a girlfriend here, because they're still on that plot, by the way. And instead of explaining, hey, you have amnesia, you've been gone for like 10 years, you've been gone for a long time, you know, explaining her the truth. No, this family of liars, more specifically Velma, is like the biggest liar. She's just compulsively lying all the time. She's like, actually, it's my baby, and the father is Norville. And it's like, great, now they have to take care of a baby, and by take care of a baby, I mean Velma tries to push it off. And so when Norville comes, Norville, by the way, is shown to leave when he's tasked to be a father. While Norville is driving away in his car, Velma, like the bad person she is, drops the baby. And then the baby rolls out, and then the baby mama, actual baby mama, pounces to the baby, and then they're locked outside. Wasn't that funny? Why? It just makes me think that Velma sucks. The show has already acknowledged that Velma sucks. There's no redeeming factors about her, so why make a story about her at all? That's really my question. Really, why? Why would you make her a character? I feel like my personal experience with characters and things existing is I try to learn from them. A thing, oh wow, what can I learn from this thing that's in front of me? I guess the ultimate lesson to this show is what not to do, what not to be. Don't be like Velma, because she ultimately sucks in the end. But there's no consequences for Velma either. So, also, Norville comes back to take care of the baby, and Velma pushes the responsibility onto Norville. Typical Velma. Also, Fred has his head in a toilet, which is hilarious because he's practicing getting swirly because he's never been swirly before. I'm like, interesting, you've just always been popular. I'm actually really intrigued to see Fred's arc here. if there is one. I hope there is. If Fred's just not a constant joke factory on how worthless and how not good he is, I'd be interested in that resolution. It's interesting, Norville Dad has welders and mask, and of course, obviously, he's the red herring. You've seen him. He's just, the structure of the show is so obvious. It's so paint by numbers. It's just so obvious that yes, he's obviously the red herring because we're in the 9th episode. And then by the end of the episode, we'll know who is actually the murder death killer, okay? But we see Velma finding the welder's mask in his office, and then we see a shot of Norville's dad being creepy, and then the next scene picks up from that transition, and it's like, that's not how conversations work. Would Velma have any conversation with the father of Norville? I would love to hear the conversation, because there's just a bunch of things that Velma just sprung on Norville. Like, Norville had to go tell his father that he's pretending to take care of a child, and I guess Norville's father was like, yo, that's probably a really good idea, because you can learn things such as how to take care of a child. You know, life skills such as that, so I'm pretty sure he's on board. But still, dude, come on. You just sprung up a bunch of things on him, Velma. Why are you gonna do that? Also, we see an interaction with Fred's mother. Victoria Jones is her name. She is saying stuff like, here's an exact quote that I actually have. Just as long as you're popular enough to do whatever you like a homophobic chicken sandwich chain. So first of all, that's a diss on Chick-fil-A. And second of all, she was talking to Daphne in that scene, because the context of the scene is that Daphne said that she's no longer popular. And it's like, learn a skill, Daphne, I don't know. Learn something practical. Okay, learn a trade, learn anything, please. Get into construction. I don't know, anything to benefit society, Daphne. Popularity does not benefit society directly, I guess. It kind of does adjacent, because I feel having a bunch of obnoxious snobs as like a main focal group of a school motivates the other people not in that group who is being ridiculed to either A, become a loser, or they can motivate themselves to become better and like have skills, have adult lives. You know, that's my solution for Daphne. But you know, she's like, oh, I want to be popular. But it seems like the Victoria Jones knows what she's talking about. She's just like, yeah, just pretend to be in a relationship with Fred. And of course we see that Fred and Velma and Daphne are on the same place. Fred and the Daphne have a kiss, and Velma is jealous, of course. Also, there's a baby rolling loop, very obvious. It was definitely probably like 5 or 6 frames. 6 to 8 frames. I'd give them that, but you know, it was very obvious. The baby rolling loop. Okay, thanks. Also, the Velma mom at the end of the episode, first she's like, oh my goodness, I can remember everything. And then she's like, I am the serial killer. And it's like, first of all, you ended it on the cliffhanger, and then you have the 15 seconds of credits, and then you have immediately the next scene. It's just okay. Also, I just really am so mad that they didn't stick with the misdirection at all. Like, wow, why couldn't you? First of all, you set it up so she was the killer, and then she's like, I'm not the killer, and then you do some cheap tricks. She's like, oh, I'm not the killer. I don't remember. It's like, oh, it's all obvious, so you're stringing us along. Oh, come on. But then she's like, oh, I do remember. I'm the killer, and I have to figure out why I did it. And it's like, you're just coming up with reasons on the spot. It's not believable. There's no journey for me to actually believe that you feel and believe these things. You had an epiphany. It just feels like you're making up excuses. But that's the end of episode 9. now it's time to talk about episode 10, the season finale. Okay, episode 10 is such a doozy. Episode 10 is called The Brains of the Operation. Do you want to know why Velma's mom is the murder, death, kill woman? It's because she wants to put the brain of a popular girl in Velma's head. My first thought immediately was, how will you dispose of Velma's brain? Okay, she's clearly got a no good brain according to your standards, Velma's mom. Can't have all moms love their children. That's just a harsh reality of life sometimes. But that's fine as long as Velma is independent. No, she's not independent actually of her mom. She's had hallucinations just thinking about her mom, and I'm just thinking, maybe you should just keep away from your mother because she turned out to be the serial killer. She has harmed your community. Not that you actually care that much, Velma, but she is so evil? Is it evil? Is wanting to replace a brain with another brain evil? It seems shallow. That's my first read. It's like, well, brains can change. There are certain fundamental, like, hard set things about brains, but otherwise you can change stuff about you. You can be more wanting to be more nice. Definitely change position of your hair if you have a wig, but you can't change that position of hair on your actual head. But you can change habits. Like, you can actively decide to, I don't know, first thing that comes to mind, brush your teeth in the morning. And you can actively force yourself to do that. You know, that's a habit you can change. You can do that with Velma being such a terrible person. You can reward good behavior. Give lots of chocolate to Velma in order to teach her. So the good things about friendship is caring about the other person. And it's interesting that Velma does not really care. She just wants to not care and use all of her friends, which does come out in this episode. I appreciate that part. Also, Velma is now being framed for murder because Velma's mom did serial killings. And it's like, first of all, this is presumed to take place in the United States of America, and in the United States of America, just because one person committed a crime that you're close to does not mean that you yourself committed the crime. That is such backwards logic. Like, the only thing I can really compare it to is North Korea. Velma, everyone around you is like a dictator or loving the dictator. I don't know, Velma. What reality do you live in? Also, we have the mother has a van. There's some damage to it, but Fred buys it up and draws a bunch of terrible, terrible flowers on the side of the van. And it's like, oh, it's like the mystery van, but if it had no color, so it's white and flowers. And on the side, I like how oh, it's on the side, okay. On the side of it, man, I wrote so many notes. Fred Jones Spooky Stuff Hunter. I liked that. Very childlike. He seems to believe in ghosts now. But that's not the only thing I want to talk about. First of all, Velma herself is saying stuff such as, oh, wouldn't it be in like teenagers, a bunch of teenagers hanging out in the van? Having a bunch of teenagers hanging out in the back of a white van seems to be trashy and pedo-tinged. That's what Velma said about Scooby-Doo. the franchise that it's playing in, okay? So meta to call yourself pedo-tinged when you yourself are also playing with that Scooby-Doo label. If it was a satire, this is not very good satire, okay? Satire is supposed to be clever, okay? This is not clever. I don't know much of backstory on who created Scooby-Doo except for Hanna-Barbera. I know their names. They've created a lot of cartoons. They are very influential, okay? If they've done something to your not liking show, I guess you can't really, don't know how to separate the arts from the artist, it seems, because, look, I don't condone that behavior either, if it has happened. It just seems that you're calling all of the fans of Scooby-Doo, like, anything related to Scooby-Doo, as pedo-tinged, and I, as somebody who appreciates culture, there's a culture around Scooby-Doo, and introducing this to the culture of Scooby-Doo is not good, because it's hateful. It seems like the show people hate Scooby-Doo, and I'm not a big fan of creating things that you hate just out of spite for the fan base. This doesn't seem like that. Also, wow, drink water if you haven't. Also, the fact that this show has naked teenage girls getting murdered is quite ironic, because I feel like maybe the showrunners themselves are calling themselves out on this one. I don't know much about them, just the writing on the wall, the writing in the show versus what you're calling the show and the people who run it, or the culture around it, I guess, is bad. That's what I think the showrunners are also outing themselves as that bad, I guess. I feel like the show is like the worst offense, because everything's just flat out on, like, right in the open, and not in a good way. It's like the agitating way, like, stop it, you're not funny, Also, in order to talk to Velma's mother, Velma herself is like, the only way to do that is not to use the visitation. It's instead get myself arrested, and the way that Velma gets herself arrested is very egregious, okay? Also, I should mention before I continue further that Fred and Velma have become friends again. Things make up very quickly. The show goes very quick. And we have Fred being like, you know what? I will help you. Also, what do you need help with? Oh, Velma wants to be arrested? Velma's like, oh, arrest me, police officer. The police officer's like, no. Okay. And then Fred is like, what if she disturbed me? And then she gets arrested. And the show is saying the joke of that scene right there, is that white people can just ask minorities to be arrested for a perceived disturbance. And it's racist. It's just like, I feel like the show is supposed to be out as outrageous as possible. I feel like this is all on purpose. The rage that I feel inside for this show for just being bad. I feel like this show is just propelling all of the bad human traits that exist in people and amplifying that and saying that it's good. I don't like that at all. It's just so bad. Also, Daphne lets Velma out of jail. What a good girlfriend. It would work if Velma was a good person. But Velma's not. She gets another free one. But now Velma is having hallucinations again. Oh, right in time for a convenient plot twist, okay? And she has hallucinations now and goes back into her memory. And apparently all of the actions of Velma's mother left 2 years ago. Okay, so I see that the father being very quick to have a baby. I kind of understand her pain, but she was thought to have died, okay? Also, it took place 2 years ago. Velma, 2 years ago. The little toddler version of her. My first guess was, oh, that must be her when she's like, I don't know, 6. But no, she's supposed to be in high school now. And so the youngest age you can be in high school is 14, 15. And I'm assuming she's 14. So in that 2 years ago, she was 12. So now she's 14. And then this is also, with that knowledge in mind that she is in fact 14 herself, they do another high school nudity thing where they're just straight up like naked and there's a little fog covering their areas. But you can clearly see that the animators have drawn out fully formed females. I like that alliteration. Also, here's a contrast. Velma is now naked herself. Is this supposed to represent that Velma is now comfortable with herself? Now that she's got all the acceptance that she would ever need. And also Velma, now that Norville has gone away. Also, I love how Velma has never called or listened to a voicemail by Norville ever, but now she is. She's listening to all the voicemails and Velma calls up Norville and Norville has a voicemail box message like, leave your message at the tone. You know that? Also, Velma, you're a piece of shit. At this point, Velma just realizes that she deserves to be loved. It does not feel earned. Velma's terrible. Oh, I deserve to be loved, actually. But that's not the problem that you have, Velma. The problem that you have is treating others with respect, that they deserve to be loved by you. Not that you know you deserve to be loved. It's not an epiphany that you just had. Also, Velma finds Daphne and Fred kidnapped by the killer. Great. And then there's Glass's gag. But Velma says, I hope this doesn't keep happening, instead of saying, Jankies, I can't see without my glasses, ooh. But she just like picks it up. Man, the show hates Velma, I guess. Like the character, the original character, not this well, the show hates Velma. Man. Also, turns out that the serial killer mother was framed. Why? She's been hypnotized. She says this thing over and over again every time someone asks, why did you do that? And she's like, oh, I killed you to switch the brains out. And so Velma is like, oh, you've been hypnotized. Who's doing the hypnotism? Oh, we got the killer. Let's unmask the killer. And it's Victoria Jones, which is a surprise that caught me off guard, but also makes sense. Victoria Jones is very vicious. And her reasoning is so she can switch the brains of somebody who's more capable of running a business with her son's Fred brain. And I'm like, what would you do with Fred's brain? Are you going to keep it in the jar, preserve it? Also, the continuity is pretty interesting because it seems, oh, this was definitely thought out, but I don't feel anything about it, really. I mostly just felt, oh, you know, I'm surprised the show's kind of good at this specific moment. So the brain experiments worked. The brain swapping experiments worked, but Velma's mom reversed the lab after finding out some sneaky stuff that Victoria Jones's dad was going to do with her project. So she's like, no way. But then Victoria Jones not took so much, but she got hypnotized, actually. And she gets hypnotized to recreate the brain switching experiments lab, so that can be happening yet again. And so there's the brain thing in the hypnotism thing. That sounds a lot like Get Out. I just felt like the show is doing Get Out, and it's like, if I wanted to watch Get Out, I'd watch Get Out, come on. Also, her reasoning is, oh, whoa, if I just replace the brain of like a female high school girl who has the ideas of popularity, but will appreciate the advantage of being in a rich, white, male body. And it's like, first of all, have you ever seen a woman? Women have them curves, okay? I just find that a lot more people find women attractive. Like, for example, I'm pretty sure lesbian porn is very popular. It's actually like probably one of the more popular pornographies that are out there. Also, Fred is fighting his parents. Good on you, Fred. Good on you Fred has to fight his parents. I like that part, because obviously the parents are insane. But unfortunately, Victoria has his hand on Fred still. Fred is able to be easily convinced because the brain swapping procedure has not occurred. And it's interesting because she gets hit with a wave of reality. First thing of reality that happens, Daphne and Velma kiss because they think they're about to die. And Velma says Norville during the kiss, and then Norville comes swinging on a rope. I love you too, Velma! And it's like, oh, great. Victoria Jones is then, after that, bloody gored by a falling boulder, and Velma is like, happy dance, I solved the mystery, and then she's twerking as we see the expression of Fred, who has just lost his mother, and we have Daphne who's like, what? I just saw someone die, and then we have Norville puking, and it just seems like satire, but not in the way that the show has intended it to be. Maybe this way the show intended it to be, is just like Velma dancing on like a bloody gory mess, and it's comically gory. Like a lot of blood. She's really dead. And Norville and Fred are not friends. They kind of hang out more. They all start fighting because everyone hates each other. Wow, they're such good friends, I can't believe it. Norville's dad, of all people, suggests to Norville, have you tried marijuana? And it's like, oh, hey, look, it's a joke. It came back, now he's closer to his real life persona, I guess. Okay, that's fine. Norville smokes the silly salad now. And the show ended on a man joke. Like, oh, men are the butt of the joke in this show. And then a policeman just gets randomly slashed. Oh boy, those are all my thoughts on those episodes. Except for, wow, Velma is just so astronomically bad that I don't want to see another season unless I get requested to review Velma episodes, because wow, this was a doozy. It's not good. It's kind of, earlier in the season, I gotta admit, it was more fun to watch it because it was just so bad. There's the curve of like, if it's really bad in quality, but like it's so bad that it's funny. And then you have, oh, it's really good in quality, and it's good because it's really good in quality. But then you have the middle, oh, well, it's not that good, it's not that interesting, so why would you watch it? I felt like more of the middle episodes landed in that territory more as the show went. These last few episodes just felt rushed, honestly. It was the most rushy thing. I wouldn't say the most rushy thing. It's just so rushed. The animation. There's some fight scenes that a lot of the animation seemed to be dedicated towards. Epic. Amazing. I appreciate none of it. I don't know if I'll remember Velma. Cause I don't know if I want to. The 9th episode, I think I'll give it a 2, and the 10th, the season finale, a 4. And I only give it a 4 because first, it's the end of the season and I'm very delighted and happy. But more importantly, the subversion that it's actually Victoria Jones who's the killer. I was surprised and caught off guard by that, and I can't believe that's my standard. Well, if that's my standard, then I gotta give it a 3. Okay, first of all, the season finale is a 3. Changed my mind. And now it's time to review the entire series, okay, as a show. So the first 10 episodes of the show, what do I think? First of all, I felt like there was very little thread of plot going through the day-to-day, the moment-to-moment, beat-to-beat episode plot structure. It was more like the premise of the entire show would be brought up in between like just statements or yeah, flat out statements that either are, it seems to be attempts at humor or just like some social commentary. And like, yeah, girls do this, and some meta commentary. The show definitely got more meta at the end. So basically the first scene of Velma where she's typing on her phone, that's meta. And then the show is just, it's slow. It feels bogged down by just unnecessary jokes that are not necessary to the plot, which is what I mean when I say unnecessary. It's not necessary to progress the plot forward, but whenever the plot needed to be progressed, it was just like given. It was like, oh, the solution appeared. Wow, now we're gonna go this direction because the solution appeared. It's just like, I don't know what the thought process is. I would like to know the thought process of Velma. Why is she going through all of this the steps to understand where, like, why would she pick up on these details? Like, I got distracted by the cops coming for Velma because her show is so bad. Mainly, it's a crime against humanity to be so bad. Have a bad show. That's why she's the cops are coming and she's getting arrested. Mainly because of the badness of the show itself. But wow, Velma definitely doesn't pick up in speed. It feels like a lot of the show is evenly paced, but evenly paced in how much little information you get from each interaction. You maybe get one piece of information that propels to the next scene, and definitely not a fun choice, not an enjoyable watch, honestly. It just seems this show entirely depended on rage, and the story, the twists were okay, you know. I appreciate the twists given how bad the show is. I guess if you want to seem good, you gotta hide you gotta hide within all of this terribleness, and then you have one gem. Wow, I have this one gem, and it's like, oh my god, you found a gem! Ah, you're so good! And it's like, no. It doesn't stand alone as like a piece of art, like at all. I don't like it, okay? I'm not a fan. As an enjoyable, watchable series, just like generally, if you're going to binge it, it's just seems plotless. What it seems like is there's a bunch of, oh, I want to do this, I want to have them fighting, I want to have them have volleyball. How we do that? Okay, well, we're gonna say this thing, and now they're gonna do volleyball, and it's like, oh, fine. Overall, though, the show gets a 1.0 for cohesiveness. It's not very cohesive, a little bit of cohesive, but not really. If you like this review, be sure to watch another video. YouTube really likes that. You can also like, comment, subscribe, share this video with everyone you know. The ultimate goal of this channel is for me to become an expert movie reviewer, so if I haven't reviewed it on the channel, there's a chance I haven't even seen it at all. If you'd like to request a movie in the comments below, you can do that, or you can fast track a movie review request at patreon.com/ASEpresents. $20 a month for one movie review per 1 month. $3 a month for how to draw Pokemon tutorials will be posted there first, plus 250 vlogs that are up there right now at patreon.com/ASEpresents. And if you'd like to help support the daily grindiness, my Fansly is free to follow. It really helps with the daily grindiness of all these daily movie reviews. So you can go here. And until next time, I'm in salad sauce. See you later, my salad croutons and bacon bits.